Amid Donald Trump's high-profile push for a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine, Moscow has instead ramped up its advance into Ukrainian territory, intensifying fighting on several key fronts. On November 24, Russian forces moved to try to push Ukrainian troops back from positions near the Oskil River in the Kupiansk sector, seeking to improve their foothold in this contested area. Ukraine's Joint Forces Command said that Russia was attempting to advance eastward in Kharkiv province, indicating that the Kremlin is still probing for breakthroughs despite talk of negotiations. The head of communications for Ukraine's Joint Forces, Viktor Tregyub, claimed that Russia was making serious attempts to gain ground around Kupiansk, describing sustained pressure along this stretch of the front. There is real pressure, but it is not easy for the enemy to enter, Tregyub said, arguing that while Russian assaults continue, Ukrainian defenses are making every new incursion costly and difficult. At the same time, Ukraine has acknowledged that Russia currently has enough personnel in the area to potentially push through Kupiansk, even if such an advance would require heavy effort and likely high losses. This renewed push around Kupiansk has come alongside Russian gains reported in Pokrovsk, Kupiansk, and even parts of the Zaporizhzhia region, suggesting a broader offensive pattern across the east and south. One prominent war monitor has claimed that Russia has seized at least 15 villages in Zaporizhzhia province since September, pointing to steady if incremental territorial advances over recent months. Reports also say Ukrainian forces have withdrawn from settlements such as Novovasilivsky, Uzanivka, and Novomykolaiivka, pulling back to more defensible lines as Russian attacks intensified. Ukraine's southern defense forces have further confirmed a withdrawal from positions near 5 additional towns, indicating a tactical repositioning to avoid encirclement and preserve manpower. Meanwhile, on November 24, Russia also rained down drones and missiles on the Ukrainian capital Kyiv, underscoring that the air campaign continues even as ground offensives grind on. Russian attack drones struck buildings in Kyiv, forcing residents once again to rush underground into bomb shelters as air raid sirens wailed across the city. Massive fires engulfed several residential buildings while explosions lit up Kyiv's night sky, creating terrifying scenes for civilians caught in the middle of the bombardment. According to a major news agency, the Russian overnight attack triggered fires in 2 buildings and killed at least 1 person, adding to the growing civilian toll of repeated strikes on the capital. Russia's intensified offensive on the ground and in the air comes as Trump increases pressure on Kyiv to accept a peace deal, trying to link battlefield realities to a negotiated settlement. However, after recent talks in Geneva, Trump appeared to soften or dilute his previously declared November 27 deadline for Ukraine to accept the proposal, suggesting more flexibility on timing. Under Trump's draft plan, Kyiv would reportedly have to concede parts of eastern Ukraine to Russian control, effectively recognizing some of Moscow's territorial gains in exchange for a ceasefire. In response, President Volodymyr Zelensky and several European partners have drawn up a counter-proposal that removes many of the most pro-Russia terms, aiming to protect Ukraine's sovereignty and long-term security.